Hey, Dave and Mackie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave.
This is me, Mackie.
And together we are Shiny Side Out on WZCR, coming to you from Australia for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. That's the website name, where you'll find a chat room, a donate section, merch, a whole bunch of really cool things. But the best part is unfiltered ideas and conversations that you find in the chat room. That's the truth right there. I'm there. Meckie's there already, I believe. Oh, there's the magic mouse sound on the table. Oh, that's right. I'm going to get in the chat room.
I'm already here. Oh, silence you.
Quiet you. All right. So this is show number, believe it or not, Meckie, 636.
630 and 600. Good Lord. How about that?
Do you know what? I'm saying that more and more and more and more.
Good Lord?
Yes, that expression. I'm using that expression now instead of swearing.
Oh, yeah, that'll do.
More surprised with the turning of the world every day. It's a new thing, a new problem. Sounds like a superhero gathering. But what are the solutions and where is it going? Well, tune in. Stay tuned in and we'll talk about them. You can catch Meckie and I on air, online and anywhere on your smart device. To do that, you'll need an app. So get one and you can listen anywhere. Or if you just prefer to sit at home with your feet up and a nice cup of coffee or a hot chocolate or your favourite beverage, whatever it is, I don't care what you're doing. Sipping some gin, I don't really care. Whatever you do, whatever is your thing, but you can do it listening to a Grace Tabletop digital radio. They owe us, Mackie. They owe us. At least send me one for all the free advertising you've been in.
Oh.
You know what? Solaris had a great guest who I didn't catch the name of. So if you're still listening, Solaris, do let me know who it was. But great show. I only caught the last half of the last hour, and it was really cool. She organises UFO conferences, and she's up to date with JFK assassination issues with the story. Of course, we all are, because that's the number one go-to. That was one of the first things that I learned about before UFOs was the JFK. It was a magic bullet. What? You can... I swear, the jury should have been sacked for that finding. Honestly, shouldn't have agreed with it. It's ridiculous. Magic bullet. I'll give you magic. No, I won't actually give you magic bullet. That will get us cancelled. So, we had another show 499. I just want to put this in the intro. 499. For Meckie asking a question. It was at 29 minutes and 5 seconds. The question commenced.
What did I ask?
I can't repeat it because it'll get us cancelled again.
Use other words.
Okay. It started with the word if. If you. And then went through a very quick, probably 10-word postulate. Yes, I suppose I'm making the use of a word incorrectly, but it doesn't matter. You asked a question relative to the thing that we all had to have. We had to get
Right.
the government-driven thing because of another thing that was probably a lab leak. But who cares? Who cares? I don't care. You asked a question against not the efficacy, but rather the injuries that we were beginning to learn about, which I can't talk about. And I'm not suggesting anything. I'm not a medical expert. I know nothing. I hear nothing. But I'll tell you what. The AI immediately, it said, appeal here. Click appeal. Click next. And then appeal denied. But it was a question. You're not allowed to talk anymore? Apparently not. And It was from 2021,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, it's completely effective.
It's well, you know what? I'm just not sure anymore. So if you want to listen to that show, you'll find it on Rumble. And every one of the Rumble shows that we have were all deleted from YouTube. They just say your video has been deleted, and here's the reason why. Do you want to appeal? Yes.
But at least
denied.
they told you why. But hang on, but
It was the first time they ever told us the timestamp.
Right.
My previous ones were, well, if you tell me the timestamp, what I'll do is give me the opportunity to download it and then listen, clean it up, or maybe bleep it out or do something, and then re-upload it again. Or maybe put it to you so you can tell me I've done the right thing this time, and then accept it. No, it's just gone. Just forget it. I've downloaded everything we have anyway, so good luck with that, right? It's what I say. It's sad, Mackie, really sad that this is where we're at. This censorship, this. I'll finish the intro, right? So, it's free to get to the archive. So if you don't know who Solaris is, she has great guests all the time. She's really, really fantastic person. Had a ton of experience and knowledge, and she shares that with us every single week. And she's an author and I wouldn't say videographer, but she's she's on screen for a documentary, and you know what? We love her. And anytime you want to do another 2 hours, Solaris, come back and we'll have you on our show. So, Mackie, I'm in dark and junk country. How about you today?
I'm in Durham country, my friend.
Oh, beautiful downtown, sunny Durham country, right? Last night was pretty cold. And when I say cold, those people living in America know cold. We don't know cold. We really don't. I mean, cold is, when everything freezes, right? And it either snows or does something silly. Everything ices up. We don't get that. It doesn't snow at sea level or thereabouts within 100 meters of sea level. It doesn't snow like that here. We get some snow in some mountains that is usually man-made snow because it gets the temp but not the water. And you can snow down the slope, but then you've got gravel and mud car park. It's not like everywhere else. Go on a skiing holiday and you can ski from the chalet to the lift and then down the slope and back to your chalet again. In fact, you could probably snow halfway down the mountain that you drove up on. Not us. No. Said no. Just saying no. So this is the good part of the show where we respect the traditional custodians of the land. And from Mackie and I, from our position here, we pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. And I'm going to add this thing. Stories that are passed down from elders to the next layer of their society need to be understood and respected because they're really important.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could learn anything from those stories, that it would be a boost, a benefit, and of some merit to our current civilization, the one that we oppose theirs from. Oh, Mackie, good grief. How was your week?
Oh, look, I spent most of it at home. My wife wasn't too well, so
yes,
a
I'm
bit
sorry.
of carers duties as you do.
Yeah.
Still, you still do work and do emails and whatnot. But no, it's just okay. Oddly enough, though, not oddly enough, but I noticed there's a lot more. When I was outside, I was noticed a lot more police that was out there, and there seems to be, I don't know, just it's just this air of there's like a change in the wind, and yeah, I don't know what that means in Australia, to be honest. Because I look around, I'm not entirely sure what to make of it. People are out though. Again, I went to a farewell on, I want to say, what's today? On Friday night I did, for a couple hours. City was packed again with people, which was good to see, I guess. It was not bad. And everything's just expensive, Dave. Everything is just nuts. A friend of mine whom I caught up with yesterday, he spends like $70 in cigarettes for a packet of cigarettes.
For one packet? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think it might be like 40 in there, but still, it's a lot of money, right? In my opinion, like, I don't know, maybe people.
Oh, you mean like the holiday brand of cigarettes?
No, I don't know what they are.
Which is sweepings
with
big logs in them.
Mostly filler. No, it just seems expensive to me, and so
it's very expensive.
Okay, that's good. Good, I'm not completely out of touch.
So I quit smoking when it was $20 to $25 a packet.
That's a long time ago. You must be well. What I do find a little disconcerting is that they did take another video down, as you said, and for posing a question, if I understand it correctly.
That's right.
Not making a statement.
Nope.
Right, just asking a question.
Yep.
But I shouldn't be surprised, because the truth is, we are living in a society, in an age where we experience massive, and I mean massive censorship. The censorship we're experiencing is out of this world. And it comes in all forms. There's self-censorship. A lot of people that are in the journalistic and similar professions, they might not even know it, right? But as soon as you bring up a story, and it's got a certain key phrase or a certain innuendo, people shy away from it immediately.
Do you remember the person who was in another studio, and they brought up George Soros, and immediately there was a guest via a long distance link, and they brought up that person's name, and then in the studio with the anchors, they froze, hearing something being shouted in their ear, and then said, "We won't be bringing his name into the conversation," and then cut the person off.
Yeah, and look,
because main sponsor owns everything.
Well, it's the most blatant form of censorship I've ever come across in my life happened in Australia, of all places. And in fact, you mentioned it the other day, and it sort of jogged my memory. It was someone called Doug Mulray.
Oh, Doug Mulray, yeah, that's right.
Doug Mulray was a radio personality first and foremost.
Triple M, he worked at.
The Reverend Doug Mulray. He wasn't the Reverend.
That's right. But, he wasn't.
But he was like back in the late 80s and 90s. He was very well known.
He was a character.
Sydney radio. Yeah, he was a massive character. And then he got a TV show. Yeah. And that TV show, I think, went for about 5 or 10 minutes
until the first ad break.
Before the owner of the station pulled the plug. No, really. It was Packer, right? Kerry Packer?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That pulled it. It was live. It was a live show.
Live show,
and he pulled it. I have never seen anything like that anywhere.
It only made it to the first break, and then it never came back.
It never came back. Now, I'm sure it happens, right? Don't get me wrong, but I just never saw it before. And I thought, holy moly, that's just...
It's like Packer had never even known who he was. Had never listened to his radio show.
But I think what we need to understand here is the power that these people wield. Because this is a person that didn't... Okay, it's their station, right? I mean, it was his station, but he didn't have to go to anyone. He didn't have to go to a board of directors. He didn't have to go to a whole bunch of people to ask. He just said, shut it down. And I think most of us labor under the misapprehension that the media is this consensus kind of thing where a lot of people get together and they only give you the news, that are worthwhile giving, and it's all good information. And the truth, of course, is the opposite. It is not a consensus thing. It's just people telling you what the agenda is. So people know the agenda. Here it is, tick in a box. Anything that fits the agenda, you can report on, and sometimes they'll tell you specifically what to report on, and specifically what not to report on. And that's it. That's pretty much what you can do and what you can't do. And you have to understand, and obviously, I know we keep saying this, but this is really, really important. You only see and hear what they want you to see and hear.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's nothing else. There's no accidental broadcast of some great mystery, right? It doesn't happen. It is agreed upon, and it's getting a little bit harder for the powers that be to do this, because a lot of things which were just automatically disregarded have come to be known to be true. UFOs is one. Yes, it's a thing, right? Mm-hmm. And the guy actually was on Skinwalker Ranch. I think I said this before, but the guy who changed the term from UFO to UAP was actually on Skinwalker Ranch talking to the investigators, and he said, I just had to change the term because it was just too loaded. So he came up with UAP. It's the same thing. It's just not as loaded as UFO, right? But now it's a thing. I mean, we all have to accept that the phenomenon is real. We're not saying what it is. We're just saying the phenomenon is an actual phenomenon. It's like saying lightning is not real. Well, lightning does happen, and we do see UFOs and UAPs, and sometimes we just don't know. We really don't know what it is. Other times we think, well, it might be a UAP for most people, but maybe some people know what it is. Right?
Oh, yeah, that's come out, definitely.
Yeah. And other things are becoming more mainstream as well, which is really interesting. Questioning relativity, questioning the speed of light, questioning
Big Bang Theory.
Gravity, as well as do we really understand light? Is there dark matter? Probably not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is the universe in fact expanding? Is it? I don't know. What is it? And then, of course, ultimately, what is it expanding into? That's really the ultimate question. So there are more and more things that used to be sacred cows that are no longer sacred cows, where you are now allowed to question things. Right? You're allowed to wonder if there could be other things. And just to our show removal, just to be clear, some of the manufacturers of the medications that were rushed to market at the time have come forward and said, yes, they did cause harm. Yes, that's what happened. Okay, that's in the world. That you can Google it yourself, look it up. That actually has happened. They've come forward and said, yep, it did this, it did that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's okay because they can't be held to account. And look, the thing is this, right? Just in their defense, everybody was clamoring for vaccines. Everybody wanted them. Right? All the governments, all the people, and they forced people to rush because the scientists, they weren't too keen on rushing it. No, this will take time. We've got to follow these protocols. Good science tells us we have to follow these protocols. It's just how it is. I mean, science, it's not like this agile science thinking where all of a sudden these things happen quickly, right? It doesn't work that way. There are certain protocols you have to follow and do it properly. But there was no time for that, they said. So, okay, fine. But be aware there might be issues, right? But it all comes down to efficacy and then, the greater good and all kinds of things. But we don't hear about that in mainstream news too much either, Dave. Like, there's not this massive, at least I didn't see the story that says, oh, no, this has come to light now, blah, whatever, right? And
no,
something else, blah.
That's only happening on the fringe.
Yeah.
That people are bringing this information forward. Like, it is searchable. You can find it, but these are reports. Even the NIH website has a current document from a case where a person lost they were unalived, and the nursing staff, including doctors and nurses, treating the person for some issues that they presented when they turned up at the hospital. I'm not going to say the brand, but you can, in the same vein as what Meki's been talking about, you'll find a document there from the team who are just saying, well, we premise, they say, that it was this. And that's a very, it's poignant that at this point in time, medical staff are not being censored, because initially medical staff weren't allowed to report any problems.
Yeah.
And the media couldn't talk about any problems. So in Australia, we had a class action against one of them, one of the big farmers, and this was to do with you've been affected negatively by it because of an injury, right? So I think it's really important, and my friend had GBS as a result of it, and so I understand, and I have understood from the moment that she acquired this problem as a direct result of the thing that she received, right? And you can hear me being very careful, because I mean the AI, and I love the AI, Meki, but I'm going to tell you, when it's just like Woody Allen's Sleeper, when he's up against an AI judge for the crime and he has to get reprogrammed. You know, it doesn't matter what you say. It's kind of like this. My friend at the show, my friend in real life, of course, he says, if the robots from episode 1 of Star Wars were, the police, they say, show me your papers and whatever, right? And then you tell them any old story and then just go, you're under arrest. It doesn't matter what you've said. They just go into an error state and then suddenly you're under arrest. You can't explain anything to a robot, to an AI, enough to be able to get you out of the problem. If you just did some word salad, then you're just going to arrest you anyway. Roger, right? They're just going to arrest you. Go to an error state, well, that means arrest. Arrest. You're under arrest. So the AI from YouTube disappointed me yet again.
Oh.
There was a noise over the word if. I could hear the word if. Without the word if, it's a statement, but there was a word if and I heard it. It doesn't matter anymore. Meki, when Australia banned, what's his name? Lizard people.
Oh,
overlords.
David Icke.
Yes, thank you. So when they banned him from coming into the country to talk, I knew that we were now through the door. The door wasn't ajar. We were now through the door.
But you know why he was banned from coming in, right?
Tell me.
So for the longest time, and people believe or have believed or allege, is probably the best word, that when he talks about lizards of the lower fourth dimension, he really means Jewish people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
that's what they believe he's talking about.
That's correct. Now, I, as well as Ron Johnson, BBC journalist, and still active. I listened to a documentary he put on for the BBC last night on the radio. I was listening to part of it, which is very interesting. But he spent time with him, and he found, and he put that in a book called "Them," spending time with extremists or something like that. Great book. If you haven't had a chance to read, please do. But anyway, and in the chapter that deals with David Icke, and he spends quite a bit of time with him going around, he concludes that when David Icke talks about lizards of the law of fourth dimension, he really means lizards of the law of fourth dimension.
Yeah.
But because there's this entourage of right-wing people that sort of cling to him, let's say, I guess the lobby here in Australia said, no, we can't let this guy in. He's an anti-Semite. Well, he's not. He really isn't an anti-Semite. But as soon as you're tarred with that brush, it becomes very easy to make your life very difficult, right? And and the rest of the message is no longer important. In fact, it doesn't matter anymore now what you say. You're an anti-Semite, right?
That's
right. Once you are branded in this way, anything else you say is completely irrelevant, and that's why they're trying to turn Graham Hancock into a racist, right? And I've read all of his books, and I've seen most of his documentaries. Okay, even before he became interested in this subject matter, he was a journalist for the BBC, and I have to say, I've never really seen anything racist about him. His wife, now again, not that it matters that much, but his wife is South Asian, and he has never said anything that could even be misconstrued to be racist. I find it really, but again, see, if your factual attacks fail, if you fail to attack the subject matter, you must have an attack on the person, the ad hominem attacks.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
And somehow smear that person in the best possible way. And then we see this all the time, of course. Not new.
Just go straight for the character. Yeah, absolutely.
Straight for the character.
I know. It really is easy. And certainly from their point of view, they only have to add something that is hated by everybody. Anti-Semite is one.
Let me just say
Donald Trump was groping.
Oh, yeah.
All the women immediately hated him. Didn't matter what he said after that.
So just to be clear here, right? Because I'm sure someone's going to come at us. I want to just be very clear. I hate everybody. Okay? I'm a misanthrope. This is what I am. I hate everybody equally. So there's no creed or tribe or clan I hate specifically. I hate all of you equally. Okay, so you can't tar me in with that kind of allegation. And I like persons. I dislike people.
Yeah.
Okay. So no, I'm not anti anything. I'm anti everything.
There's only something that gets under my skin. So if you want to play hardball, be ignorant. That's it. Yeah. Then you'll get onto my I'm just going to avoid you list. That's all that happens with me. If someone's truly doesn't know, then I'll try my darndest to help them. Doesn't matter what the problem is. If I've provided them the information that allows them to make either the right decision, because they're not going to do it for them, because then they never learn. So you try to hold their hand and get them to the right place, is what you're trying. But if you give them the information and they refuse to adopt that frame of mind in order to utilize that information, that's ignorance. And then I'm not helping you anymore. Good luck with that. I'm just not going to. I can't. In IT, Microsoft might provide a million ways to do something, usually 3, no less. But if you're trying the 4th thing that doesn't exist to make that happen, and you won't listen to advice, then I can't help you anymore. And that's how I have to draw the line. You've got to draw the line somewhere. Well, all right then, fine, don't. That's, it's never gonna work if you do that. But but I applaud you for trying.
Yes.
I used to have Mickey, and we're actually not too bad at this. But I had a CEO, and I know I've told this story before. I had a CEO at one time who said to me, all my friends were talking about this software. This was back in the 90s. This software, and all you do is you click a button on your PC and you talk, and it types into Microsoft Word for you. I said, yeah, totally. That's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, what is it? I said, it's called Dragon Speaking. Back then, that's what it was called. And he goes, oh, how much is that? I said, oh, don't worry about it. I'll just get it for you and you can sign it off. Yeah, cool. So I do. I install it. I said, you've got to read through these 3 huge paragraphs for it to learn you. And he does. And then he starts to ad-lib his document, the one he wants to write. Now, there was only one problem. Every second word that he said, and sometimes it was multiple words in a row, was or ah. Aha. That's what he did. So he'd say, I want to let you know about the thing. And it's writing exactly what he says. And it's all these underlines. It's all grammatically incorrect. And he goes, I said, well, look, what you really need to do is really think about what you want to say. Honest, think about it. Think about it, just like you're talking to me. But I was being kind. There was never a time when he didn't stop every second or two to think, and it was never going to work. In the end, he goes, just get rid of it off my machine. This was like about a month later. He did try. I applaud him for trying. And I said to anyone in the business, look, we have this license. Do you want this software? No. No, I don't want it. No, I'm good. No, it's terrible. I've heard all really bad reports. I said, all you have to do is just speak without saying or ah. That's it. Enunciate, sure, but goodness me. Nope. Big failure that was. The software was fantastic, in fact. Does a great job. I'm never going to put that software down. What a trailblazer that was. It's kind of maybe a little better than Siri is today.
Yeah, it's actually funny. The adoption of technology depends on 2 things. One is need. If you need to adopt it, you probably will. That it's a necessity. You're okay, well, I get it. The other one, which is a lot more, what's the best word? Opaque, mysterious, is your attitude toward it.
Aha.
And I'll give you an example. Years ago, I worked in the lab at the company. A lab being, like the technology lab where you come with new stuff. And we put together a solution, both software and hardware. I was on the hardware side, and other people on the software side, which was to take handheld devices underground into mining environments. Now, if you don't know, devices or any kind of technology really that you take underground needs to be spark proof, because a spark could lead to terrible disasters.
So
we found the devices.
There, that's right.
Yeah, correct. And we found the devices. They were ruggedized, meaning if they fell down, they wouldn't break. They were spark proof as well, which was good. So they were completely safe and really easy to use. So we made it really easy to use. Even if you wore gloves, you could still. And this was years ago now, right? The touch screens and all that. Made it really easy to use, and all you really had to do was carry it, because we just tried to, I guess collect some data, some statistics, time spent underground, etc., things like that, and it could take some measurements of certain things. I think there's some sensors on it, and that device, you would pick it up off a cradle as you went to the mine or going down, and then you would just leave it there. There's actually nothing you have to. You just take it and you put it into your belt, pretty much.
Sure.
The uptake, guess what the percentage of uptake was?
12%.
0. 0%. It was 0%. And why? Because they didn't like it.
I didn't think I was being remarkably optimistic then.
I know, right? Now, you were up there with your rainbow sunglasses, my friend. 0. The uptake was abandoned, and it was no longer used, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, we installed, I guess what you would call driver monitors software and hardware into trucks for mining companies to ensure that they weren't falling asleep and would do a whole bunch of tests and record their body functions. Cool. Now, the uptake for that was 100%. Right? Because first of all, there's not much you can do once you're in there because the machine is there. You can't really rip it out. But there's no disabling either, right? But just the simple act of having to pick up the thing from the cradle, put it on your belt, and then put it back again was enough for people not to do it. They didn't like it. They didn't like the idea of it. They didn't like anything about it.
There wasn't a benefit. So like the rad meters that you've got to wear on your belt?
Yeah.
If you
but it's a necessity.
Yeah. So I've worked around nuclear medicine and I've had to wear one of those. It's an exposure counter, and certainly Americans would know because of nuclear power stations, etc. But this was the really low dose stuff I was working with. But I had to wear this thing, and it was just telling me how much my joules were getting irradiated. Yeah. I wanted to know that. Well, you're carrying something to see how deep I went in the mine. Who cares, right? What's in it for me?
Yeah. Well, look, I think that's a good point, right? Well, there was nothing. I mean, ultimately, the data would have been used to make things safer for everybody, right? Because data collected would have picked up a whole bunch of different things, but it also was there to make sure that people didn't work too long, right?
What happened to Bob? That's all I want to know.
What happened to Bob? The thing is, though, there is no money in proposing new technology unless it's a necessity or people ask for it.
Or it saves money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we took the opposite approach back in the day where we would just build things and hoping that people would buy it, which was a complete waste of time. It was pretty good stuff we put together, don't get me wrong. This was just one example. But no one had asked us for it, number one, and no one really wanted it, right? And you think, well, but this is really, you look at it and this is a good thing. I don't really want it. I think, don't want it. Do you know why we use Windows as much as we do today and Microsoft Office and all that stuff? The single reason. Because he gave it away for free.
Yeah.
Bill Gates did it pretty much for free. So what he did, very cleverly, he never sold his operating systems. Right? That was number one. He never sold them. He always leased them. Right? And two, he made them compatible with all kinds of hardware. Mm-hmm. He just throws it in, and then you pay like a license fee, which was literally nothing back in the day.
That's right.
But it penetrated the market to an extent that nobody had expected. I remember I was working for the European Space Agency in 86, 87 as a this was a work experience placement. I was lucky because the ESA had offices about 10 kilometers from my house, right?
Nice.
In Germany. So I spent 3 weeks there with a girl from my school, and we had a good old time. Britta, if you're listening, hey, how are you? But there was a guy there. Remember, this was 86. I'm sure it was 85 or 86, one or the other. And he said to me, the IT guy, oh man, the Windows is the future. Mm-hmm. I'm here to learn all about it. He wasn't interested in the science because I was working in the space medicine department, right? So they got me to do all kinds of whatever things. I can't even remember what I did there, to be honest with you. But I do remember the scientists. They were really excited. But the people that were doing the support work, they didn't care about the space program or space medicine. The IT guy was just there to learn about Windows. And he said to me, but the reason I'm telling the story is because he told me, that this is the future. This was the very first iteration of Windows. I guess that was there commercially, or maybe the second.
I had 1.0.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
He was saying, "This is it. I need to learn as much as I can about this, and then I can write my own ticket." And that was his interest in the European Space Administration, teaching him in IT what he needed to know to further his career and money-earning capability.
Wow.
And yeah, but even then, people realized that this is going to be a big thing because, again, Gates may not have invented the thing, but he certainly knew how to commercialize it. He took the exact opposite route of Apple. And Apple, for the longest time, you remember, was actually struggling because of that.
Yeah.
It was only when they, I guess what they did, they made it part of popular culture. They made it part of an experience. The iPhone I'm talking about now, right? Mm-hmm. And how you get the iPhone and how cool it is and what it can do. And it revolutionized the mobile device market. I mean, BlackBerry was the market leader up to that point.
You could type so much faster on a BlackBerry than anything else prior.
Yeah.
Because it had an actual keyboard on it.
Yeah.
But the screen, I had... Because I use them for work and I used to deploy them to people,
Same. And I had a trackball. I had the one with the trackball. I love the trackball.
Yeah, me too.
Now, there was not a lot you could do with it except work, right? So it was a work device. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Apple device, the iPhone, was a lifestyle device.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I thought, you're going down the same route of being proprietary. You can only install software through a very specific way. No one else can write software for you. But they did manage to capture the market and the imagination of people. Just, I guess, it was the design, it was ease of use, and it became a lifestyle statement. And today, right, it is either your Android or your
That's
Apple.
Right. Uh-huh.
Very rarely are you both.
Oh yeah, I'm Android all the way.
Right?
All the way. Mm-hmm.
So I am also. I've had Blackberries and Microsoft devices. I never really had an Apple device. I gotta say, never. Like I'm talking about mobile phones now, right? I had a tablet, sure, an iPad, right?
I was gifted iPads for the children.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had to have a login. I had to know what was going on. When we first started our show and I made an app that was on both platforms, I had to know what I was doing.
Well, that's it, exactly.
That was pretty much it. That was the end of that, right? Yeah. Well, by the way, we don't have the app anymore. It's too expensive.
Yeah, that's that. But by the same token, I mean, Android, I guess once sort of, I guess BlackBerry was on the way out, and the Microsoft operating system for mobile devices never really took off. And Palm Pilot, remember Palm Pilots?
That
just disappeared.
Essentially, is that the HP one?
Yeah, well, they bought them, but yes, correct. And anything
it was like
that
an
HP
inch
buys,
thick, the first one.
Yeah, anything they buy just disappears.
Well, Microsoft bought, say this in American language, Nokia, and destroyed it. They destroyed Nokia. Totally destroyed it. Like it's gone. Everyone loved their Nokias.
Yeah, it's good.
Nokia flooded the market with the smallest. You could play Snake on any platform on the device. Snake, Minesweeper. That was a world. That was a world of trying to get the phone to the smallest possible footprint you could.
Oh, do you remember the tiny phones?
Yes.
Oh my goodness! I mean, they were the size of my thumb. Yeah. Some of these things, and
you had to pull the aerial out.
Yeah, I mean, the smaller the better. I mean, there was nobody talked about screen real estate at the time. No, I want a really tiny phone.
Well, the clamshell, then the Matrix.
Oh,
had the slide out one. I had the Nokia slide out one.
Me too.
Which I thought was so super cool.
I thought it was awesome.
It was full screen, but then you slid out the keyboard, and it was kind of like the best of both worlds. It was the halfway point. But see, Apple with their full screen, no keyboard, touch screen, that was the big. I think that was the big shaker That was a disruptor in the industry. They brought something out which had never been done before, and thankfully, because right now, you either live in the I'm saying this from an Android perspective, you live in a gated community, iPhone, or you live wherever you want, right? So, and that's Android. And yes, there are pros and cons to both, but I made my choice, and my friends have made their choices, and everyone I know has a choice. Either you might be given a phone through work. In the olden days, the work supplied the phones, right? So you carried 2 phones around, your personal one, and then they had dual SIM phones. You could put your private SIM into. I never did. Look, a lot of fun. The evolution of that tech was extraordinary. Being able to have now a cluster of devices that we would have to carry separately as something that we carry on our person at all times. That's the big thing. That's the big change. Remember when apps, you had to pay for apps? And now apps either have in-app purchases or they share your data, and that's how it's a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd get to that point. It never dawned on me at all.
The commercial, and this is actually, you raised a very interesting point. This is important to understand as well. It changed the way our commercial structures work, and it changed it not just for IT, but it heralded the beginning of the platform as a service.
SaaS.
You know, and like I'm talking about Uber. And what's the one, bed and breakfast? The
B2B.
Yeah, Airbnb. That's it.
Yeah.
And others like it. See, you're not paying for the app. No one pays for the app.
No, not anymore. Yep.
Not at all, right? And you're using the app, and then the app either charges you a usage fee depending on the transactions that you undertake on it, or you're exposed to advertising, whatever the case may be. It's the same with TikTok, with YouTube. Now, there are paid versions of most apps, especially entertainment apps like YouTube, right? Like Twitter. I'm never going to call it X, by the way. You know, put that in your pipe and smoke it. What's his name?
have premium
Musk.
YouTube, so I don't get the ads.
Yeah, but you pay for that.
Oh, yeah,
right?
You have to.
So that's my point. So most apps or most platforms are free. They're free. You can get them for free. When you start using them, right, and you're making money off them, because as a user that uses it to procure a service from someone, you don't pay for it. You don't actually pay for it at all. It's free. You can use Uber all day long or Menulog or whatever, right? But it's either through advertising or through the people that then benefit from that service being provided to someone will pay for the app. Right? That's actually not a bad platform. Of course, it destroyed all commercial and legal constructs we have because we just. Well, I mean, who do you work for?
Employment contracts are null and void now.
Yeah.
For an Uber driver, they're not even contracted to you as the user to deliver you to their destination, your destination.
No, not at all.
And they're not an employee of the company.
No. The thing is this too. Now think about this for a second. Let's say you did whatever the service is. Let's say food delivery, because it's easy and everybody has used it. What if they don't deliver the food to you?
That's right.
No, really. I mean, you've paid for the food, right? So now, this happened to me where someone didn't deliver it. So I pinged the restaurant. I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And then that particular restaurant ready the same order for me again, which I then went to pick up myself, free of charge, right? Now, it just so happened that 2 hours later, my food, now completely cold, did arrive because the person delivering it from the platform, I can't remember who it was now, Uber or Menulog or whatever, had forgotten to deliver it to me, right? Yeah. But the restaurant was not obliged to make another meal for me, right?
Yeah.
Because they had made a meal, it was picked up. That's pretty much where their custodial relationship with my food ended.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So Okay, then you go, all right. Then what happens, with other things? I mean, if you are in an Uber car or whatever, the Grab or whatever, and there's an accident, right? Now, every car in Australia has to have third-party insurance. That's just how it is the law. You must have it. But other countries might not have that. So if you get injured, well, too bad for you. If you're in a taxi, and this is true for most countries in the world, if you're in a taxi, the legislation and regulation around personal people transportation in taxi cabs, and such, is very, very, very strict and stringent. The cars have to be checked all the time. The drivers have to have a flawless record. You can't be caught, obviously with drugs or anything like that. The cars are being inspected probably 3 or 4 times a year. And you're completely insured as well. There's a whole raft of things because it's an actual business. Whereas these services that we now procure from these platforms, they're not. It's just a dude with a car. This car that you're getting into might never have been serviced, ever. Right? And it might have been used to run drugs across several borders. You don't know. You just don't know.
Currently running drugs. Who knows?
Currently running drugs. And that's the problem, you see. And that's why I don't really like using those kinds of services, right? I mean, food delivery I've taken advantage of, but now I don't do it anymore. I haven't done it for a while because first of all, I don't see why I should pay extra for something like that, because there's now a fee associated with food delivery, right? And I also don't trust these people anymore because I've seen a lot of these drivers picking up food from restaurants when I pick up my food, for example. I wouldn't trust them to sweep the front of my house. Why would I trust them to deliver me food?
I wouldn't trust them to sweep someone else's house. So
that's good.
I watched them perform the miraculous trick of transformation between a pedestrian and a vehicle. When they're on the small moped bikes driving around and the traffic lights aren't in their favor, they will become immediately, they turn into a pedestrian, mount the curb and go across the pedestrian crosswalk, and then turn back into a motor vehicle and continue driving. Now, if I did that in my car, people would worry. It would be like the Blues Brothers. It'd be 100 squad cars chasing me. This place has everything. It's a quote from the movie. But they can do it. And they do it with abandon, and it drives me spare.
Yeah,
completely spare. I've seen them stack. But that means crash, right? I've seen them crash their vehicles and then just pick it back up and keep driving. They've got that, the food keep hot bag thing on the back. Sometimes the food is strewn over the road. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to get back up and I'm going to drive. It's a new subclass, and I'm saying this out loud. It's a new subclass to our current, and ignore it if you want, class system. And I don't think it's what we've always wanted.
It is exactly what they, and I know it's the ominous they, have always wanted.
That's right.
Have people work in such a way that there's no liability for the whoever might be the employer. Because by having this, as Dave puts it, subclass of people that have literally no rights of any kind as an employee, because they're not employees, there's the music, is the perfect scenario for the parasites.
Yeah, it sure is. Hey, guess what? This is the end of the first hour with Dave and Neki on Shiny Side Out. Stay tuned. After the very small break, we'll be back with our second hour, and we're talking about the parasitic system, fiat currency, and fractional reserve lending, part 4. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'll pick it up